Welcome to a Biblical Perspective podcast, where God's point of view matters. I'm your host, Prophet C.T. Johnson. This podcast is designed to expand you beyond the mind's cultural and theological limitations about the Bible and what it teaches. Prepare for the challenge of becoming a critical thinker, analyzing life from God's perspective. Boldly and unapologetically, I'll address the ills and issues of our day, using scripture as the frame of reference. Get ready to empower your thinking and change your life. Now, let's hear what God has to say. Hello, family. Welcome to another episode of a Biblical Perspective podcast. I'm your host, Prophet C.T. Johnson. So excited to be back with you once again to empower your thinking from God's perspective. Today's episode is one of extreme importance. I and my wife on Friday, May 20th, did a live regarding a meeting that's taking place today, May 22nd, 2022, in Geneva with the World Health Organization. Over 100 nations of the world, to include the United States of America, will be meeting right now. They are meeting as I speak, as you listen to this podcast, and this meeting begins today, Sunday, May 22nd through May 28th. And the purpose of the nations of the world gathering under the direction of the World Health Organization, also known as WHO, is to discuss the proposal for amending the International Health Regulations of 2005. Now, I want you to go to my website after you've listened to today's episode, ctjohnson.org, and click the tab that says Study It Out. A drop box will appear, and the first tab in that drop box says Articles and Videos. Click on that. And the very first PDF article that will appear after clicking on that link is the actual document of amendments regarding the international health regulations. Print that out and read it for yourself. The amendments are in bold underlined font. In the event that these amendments are agreed upon, when if there is, another world health crisis as we had in 2020 regarding the COVID or the coronavirus, in the event, once these amendments are agreed upon, if there's another world health crisis, the decisions as it pertains to how we go about handling the health crisis will not be determined by the presidents, the prime ministers of said nations, or the governors of the various states as it pertains to the United States of America, but rather the decision-making power will be placed in the hands of the World Health Organization for all the nations of the world. Why is this significant? Because this meeting beginning today in Geneva is the beginning of the establishment for a one world dominance. The sovereignty of the nations will be stripped from them and placed into the hands of the World Health Organization. I'm going to take you into the live that I did on Friday, May 20th with my wife, and I'm detailing what's happening right now in Geneva as it pertains to this meeting with the World Health Organization for the purpose of amending the International Health Regulations of 2005. As you listen to this live, I will give you specific instructions on what you can do as the nation of Jesus Christ and as his citizens, as well as citizens of the United States of America, to defend, rather to fight for our country, and to say to this current administration, we are not going to allow you, President Joe Biden, to hand over the sovereignty of our nation to the World Health Organization. I'm taking you in now to the live that I did with my wife on Friday. The meeting that's taking place is happening right now, Sunday, May 22nd, but I'm taking you into this live where I am in greater detail informing you of what's happening right now today. And I'm going to take you into a brief video. You're going to hear the audio, rather, of a 1 to 2 minute video that I played on Friday. You're going to hear that first, and then I'm going to come in and discuss in detail this meeting that's taking place right now in Geneva with the World Health Organization. And I'll be back near the end of the podcast.
So here's the point that the GB News listeners need to understand. All of the authoritarianism that we saw all across the world, that we saw in China, that we saw in Great Britain, that we saw in the United States, that we saw down under with the Aussies and in New Zealand, all of that authoritarianism, if you thought that was bad, now it transfers to the UN body of the WHO. And if you read these amendments, and I encourage everyone to do that, I've read these amendments multiple times. It actually does transfer this level of authority. If you read it, you see that power is given unilaterally to Tedros. He doesn't have to have any scientific basis, no reasoning. He can make whatever decision he wants, even if it goes against what our country wants. He can go ahead and make those decisions. And if the political leadership in the country goes along with Tedros, it's done. And he can lock us up in our homes. He can mandate that we inject something in our body. He can force us to wear filthy masks. All of this absolute authoritarianism that is lawless, that is unconstitutional in the United States, would transfer over to the UN. It's absolutely shocking. And the vote is coming up next week, May 22nd through 28th. In Geneva, Switzerland, and this includes Great Britain has already signed on. There are about 47 nations, and it's real nations. It's not small little nations. It's the 47 large nations are on board. Why? I mean, this is insane to us. The reason why they're on board is because they actually do believe in a globalist agenda. They like the idea of a one world government. That used to be tinfoil hat stuff. Now, this is mainstream. The Bill Gates of the world, the Klaus Schwabs of the world, they all think this is great, and they have plans to put it into effect, and they're voting on it next week.
Well, good evening, family. Good evening. Hello. This is yours truly, Prophet CT, and my lovely wife, Jessica. We are doing an empowerment pop-up on tonight. I want you to share as you come in. We have some important, pertinent, even somber news and information to share with many of you that might be ignorant, and don't be offended by that word, of what's happening as mentioned in the video by Michelle Bachmann. That's who the lady was speaking in regards to May 22nd, which is Sunday, May 22nd in Geneva. There are a number of countries, including the United States, leadership of the United States, that will be meeting on Sunday, May the 22nd through the 28th, as she mentioned, to discuss amending what's called the International Health Regulation of 2005. This meeting is under the guise of the WHO organization, which is an acronym for World Health Organization. So I want you to share tonight,
We normally on Fridays, we come to you with Marriage on the Rock, but the Lord told me very clearly that if the church and our nation fails to understand the serious time that we're in and what we're facing as it pertains not only to what's occurring on the 22nd, but other national issues. If we continue to shout and jump and hikamasai as though the era has not changed, the guards have not shifted, and if we continue to operate as usual, listen, we won't have a nation to argue over theological subjects. We won't have, marriage will be the least of our concerns if we do not wake up, rise up, and fight. And that's the subject matter that we're going to deal with tonight. Wake up, rise up, and fight. Before you rise up, you need wake up. Because even in the natural, when we wake up, we don't necessarily, in waking up, rise out of the bed. It's not necessarily simultaneous. You wake up, you exit your unconscious state to the state of consciousness. You realize that you are alive. You start moving and going through the motions to rise and or raise yourself up out of the bed, and then you go on about your daily routine. So God spoke to me. He said, I need for you. My wife is here with me, because normally on Fridays we're here together. So she decided to yet remain with me, but we need to wake up, then rise up. And once we rise up, what are we to do? We are to fight. And not only in our prayer closet. See, that's the problem with the church. We want to enter into the prayer closet and remain in the prayer closet as though the prayer closet is the battlefield. The prayer closet is not the battlefield. The prayer closet is the decision-making chamber. The prayer closet is where we go to receive instruction, where we go to receive God's understanding, God's wisdom on a matter, God's wisdom, God's understanding as it pertains to what our prayer objective is. Prayer, the prayer closet is the meeting table. It is the strategy table. But once we receive the strategy, once we receive instructions, once we receive the game plan, we are to exit the prayer closet, enter the battlefield and or the battleground to execute, to appropriate, to apply what God, there we go, to act out, to engage in the natural, what God shared, revealed, disclosed, exposed in the prayer closet. And the church has done a horrible job at exiting the prayer closet, entering into the battlefield to employ, to apply, and to exercise what was given in the prayer closet. And so again, I reiterate, and as you can see, I'm less jovial than I normally am on Fridays, because God is beyond disturbed. Our chief apostle several weeks, maybe a month or so ago, did a live releasing, really disclosing the heart of God as it pertains to his disturbance with the church. But I'm here to tell you, as God's functionary, he's now beyond disturbed because we are ignoring the signs of the era. We are yet endeavoring to function as though we are in, as though things are normal, but things aren't. And I want you to understand, for those who feel as though we are ascribing to conspiracy theories, listen, as I shared with my dear friend Lovey today, as he and I had conversation, what you just heard, and that's just a snippet of what I'm going to share, it's not a conspiracy. This is a reality. And what's going to take place, and we're going to give you information, and I'm going to lead you to my website where I've done the homework and I've placed some of what we're going to share with you as it pertains to documentation, PDFs, and even videos. It's on my website, and I'll get to that here in a moment. But we need to understand that, again, if we don't awaken to the reality that there is something that has hit our planet that we can't just pray away. Right. It's here.
Right.
And what's taking place on the 22nd is the collaborations of nations to amend what's called the International Health Regulations. And I want you to go and research. Many of you weren't aware that there was a meeting on the 22nd. Right. As it pertains to the amending of this document, the IHR, International Health Regulations. In a nutshell, and I'm going to let those who are the experts in explaining what's happening on the 22nd, I'm going to give you the Prophet C.T. Johnson condensed version, and that is the World Health Organization. If you aren't informed, if you aren't knowledgeable of who they are, as the CDC was on the government level, the WHO, World Health Organization, is on the national, okay? World Health. So they oversee health regulations for the nations of the world. They are an extension and or an arm of the UN, United Nations. And so and let me say this, what's happening on the 22nd was not just recently planned. This has been in the works for decades. What they are endeavoring to amend, and the amendments, catch this, the amendments in the event of another world health crisis, i.e. COVID-19, which I call a pandemic, because if you do your homework, you cannot negate the fact that COVID is not an organic disease. Right. It was created in a lab in China. And we'll get to China, what's going on over in Shanghai in a moment, because that's where America and other nations are heading, in the direction of communist China. And if you don't know what has happened and yet transpiring over there, do your research. Google Shanghai, China. They were on a 50+ day lockdown, nothing equivalent to what we experience in the United States, because they are a communist country. They are controlled by their government. Right. And we'll get to that in a moment. But May 22nd, they are endeavoring to amend the IHR, International Health Regulations, which was established in 2005. These amendments would take the United States and the other nations involved, take away our sovereignty. Did y'all hear me? See, because numbers don't get high on issues that are pertinent and affects the whole nation. Right. I need y'all to share this. If I didn't say it, hit that share button on Facebook and on YouTube. But what they're endeavoring to do as it pertains to amending this document, they're meeting beginning Sunday, May 22nd through the 28th, through my birthday, to, in the event of a world health crisis, that they will manipulate. COVID is proof that a world health crisis can be manipulated. Okay, y'all just let that sit. They are endeavoring to take our sovereignty from us, whereby, as with COVID, the governors of our states, along with mayors and other officials, political officials of that state and or city, they made decisions as it pertains to how that state was going to handle the health crisis. In the event these amendments are agreed upon and signed, that will not be the case in a future world health crisis. The sovereignty, the decision-making power is given to the UN, in essence, given to the World Health Organization, again, which is an extension of the United Nations, will be given to them. And regardless of how you feel about the rules, the regulations, the laws that they set in place pertaining to the world health crisis, there's nothing we can do about it. And once our sovereignty, they say in the documentation, and it's on my website, and I'll let you know how to go to my website and print this out and read it for yourself. You might not be able to see it clearly on the camera, but this is the International Health Regulations, and it outlines the amendments that they are going to discuss on the 22nd of May. These amendments are an atrocious violation of our rights in so many ways. Regardless of what governors feel in the event of another world health crisis, in the event these amendments are set in place, it doesn't matter who the president is, there's nothing that can be done once these amendments are solidified and it's established as law. In the event of another world health crisis, not your governor, not your president will be able, and it doesn't matter what we as citizens then do as it pertains to boycott and all that stuff. If you go against, if you violate the laws and the rules and regulations that they would set in place, we will reap, or rather we will be punished, I should say, equivalent to those in Shanghai, where people's lives, something you wanted to say?
So do you see the seriousness of this? And you can't be fooled in regards to, because they talk about how they want to bring peace, health for peace, and peace for health.
Oh yeah, the wording, sorry to cut you off there, the wording in this document is sly. They don't outright say we're snatching your nation's sovereignty.
Right.
No, the devil is intelligent. The Bible says that he was the most cunning among the animals. So whatever he does strategically. He does under the radar, all right? But this is why God has individuals that are in the environment of politics. And this is why the elect of God need be in every sphere of influence, okay?
Yes.
And so I want you to go to my website. Let me tell you where you can. You go to my website, ctjohnson.org. The above tab to the right, it says Study It Out. If you hover over the Study It Out tab, it will drop down the amendment to the IHR, the International Health Regulation. Print it out, read it for yourself. It's there in black and white. You don't have to take my word for it. And then there are other information there that you need to watch there. If you click, let me go to my website so I could tell you exactly. Honey, finish your statement.
Yeah. So
while I'm going here.
So that's why it's so important to educate yourself, because there was a lot of things that I didn't understand. I still don't understand. However, that's the purpose of educating yourself, finding out what's going on. And if you don't know, ask questions and get informed, because a lot of people are not informed. And when you are informed of what's going on, it's time to do something. See what you can do in your community. See how you can, because people just don't realize that what is trying to affect America is going to affect you, because if you're in America, we are citizens of America.
Hold on, I'm sorry y'all for seeing it. If you're in America, you will be affected.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to wake up and stop glossing over what's happening as though God's going to fix it. No, God endeavored to fix it with Trump. Yeah, lean in. I don't care how you feel about it. I was talking to a friend today, a coworker, and they made the statement, that this current administration and what we're dealing with this administration is no worse than the previous. If that's your mindset, you are either oblivious to almost 2 years of what we as a nation have experienced with the Biden administration versus the Trump administration. You're either oblivious or you're just in denial. Not only are we at an all-time high inflation rate, not only is unemployment on the rise, not only are we engaged in a war in Ukraine that is senseless, not only did we extract ourselves from Iraq ignorantly and a gambit of other things. If you say that this current administration is no worse than the previous, you are oblivious or you are in denial or you have mental issues. All right. Yeah, you're right, Brother Marquise. Trump is a trigger word and I don't care. I'm triggering every devil and demon because that's the problem with the church. We have been running under the bed, under the rugs, in the closet. We have been running in every direction except toward the enemy and on the battlefield. We have false prophets and apostles out here preaching and prophesying in regards to things that won't matter if we lose our nation that God founded. America is dealing with what she's dealing with because she rejected God, she neglected God, she renounced God, denounced God, and we're endeavoring to do so. And the church assisted. The church, I said it, lean in and lean in good. The church assisted, but God always has a remnant. Y'all hit that share button. God always has apostles and prophets, and it is our job. You don't have a novice prophet. You don't have one that just started. No, I've been in the prophetic, operating that office 18 years of the 29 almost of ministry. All right. And so we need to wake up, rise up, and fight. I'm going to talk about tonight very briefly the sin of passivity, a teaching that I did several months ago. And when I was in the kitchen earlier today, the Lord brought this back to me. He said one of the greatest sins of the church in which he is committing is the sin of passivity. We are passive. The kingdom suffereth violence. Listen to the scriptures. And the violent take it by force. And the violent take it by force. God is not going to rescue America without America's assistance, without America's collaboration. Without America becoming a co-laborer with God, because God took on the brunt of it all in 2020, or rather, I should say, with President Trump. And the sad part of that is that the so-called church, you know, we can be as dumb as rocks. And the Bible even says that the children of darkness are wiser than the children of light. Jesus told us to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. We, in some instances, have mastered the harmless as doves, but we're not wise as serpents. And so we need to wake up, do our homework as it pertains to what's transpiring, because if these amendments are solidified, our sovereignty as a nation, and not only America, but I live in America. I don't live in other countries. So their citizens, their prophets, and their apostles need to be rising up. But this is the initiation of a one world dominance. As Michelle Bachmann said, you know, one world dominance was, you know, just tin foil stuff. In other words, at one time it was just out there in La La Land. But listen, this stuff is real. We are on the verge of becoming China.
This ain't no movie. This ain't no Lifetime stuff. This
no,
is
sir.
real.
This is legitimate. So now, go to my website. Go to my website and go to the Study It Out tab. A drop-down box will appear. articles and videos. If you click on articles and videos, it will take you to the link where this that I'm holding in my hand, the IHR, is there for you to print out in PDF form. It says WHO Proposal for Amendments to the International Health Regulations. And this is what that is. This is the International Health Regulation. And it outlines what you will see in bold underlined font are the amended changes. And as I said, this is nothing that just popped up last week. This document was initiated in 2005, and they're endeavoring to amend. And our president is leading the charge. This administration is leading the charge as it pertains to these amendments.
In America.
So now, I said this to someone before, and I say it again. You can say what you want to say. This is treason. Here we have our commander-in-chief, this administration. I don't care what y'all say. I'm a prophet before. First of all, I'm a citizen of the nation of Jesus Christ before I'm black, before I'm a husband, and I'm a prophet of God before I am a member of the United States military myself. And so here we have the head of our nation leading the charge to amend the IHR to turn our nation's sovereignty over to the WHO.
How foolish is that?
That's treason. It's
man.
treason when you come against your nation.
Your own country.
Not only is it treason, this is domestic terrorism at its best. This is terrorism on our soil by one of our own, hence domestic. See, this is what we need to be sounding the alarm about.
Right.
Instead of talking about this is your year of double, it's going to be our year of double hell. It's going to be our year of triple tribulation. It's going to be our year of quadruple catastrophe.
Right.
That's what it's going to be. And we won't have an America to prophesy prosperity over if we don't take a stand and rise up. Y'all come on. I know this is a hard pill to swallow. Y'all give me some hearts. I only got one help on the line, really, Marquise. Come on, y'all give me some hearts. Come on there on YouTube. Hit the like button. Hit the thumbs, rather. Hit the, whatever that thing is called. Hit the thumbs up there on YouTube and share this. Share this, share this, share this. Now, I want to roll a video. I'm not going to show it all. It's about 27 minutes, but it's on my website. If you go to ctjohnson.org and you click the Study It Out tab, articles and videos, you click that, it will give you the videos in detail that I am about to show. I have about 2 more videos that I want to show you, and then I'm going to briefly discuss in more detail how the church has and yet is committing the sin of passivity. Well, I'm going to pray and God's going to fix it. I'm telling you, God is not fixing this without you.
He's waiting on you.
He's not going to fix it. Because when he was fixing it, we, as Dr. Price, and I love this powerful, profound statement. She said, we don't know the church how to keep a win. Once we get a win, and once we win, we take our trophy and we run home with it, place it on the mantle, and we don't do what's necessary to maintain and or to sustain the win. God gave us a win, a solid win, a victorious win, a triumphant win in Donald Trump. Yes, he said things that were politically incorrect. He said things that were offensive. He said things that I did not agree with. But when it came down to doing the job, he did the job. When it came down to guarding and defending the nation that he was placed the head over, he did it.
That's true.
Do your research. America was one of the largest funders of the World Health Organization, which is headed by Tedros. He has a very unique name. He's a certain ethnicity, but he goes by, I think this is his middle name, Tedros. He's the director. And he is great friends with Bill Gates. Bill Gates is very influential in regards to the World Health Organization. Here, he's not a medical doctor. He's not a scientist. All right. Bill Gates does not have any education that warrants him directing health situations and or providing regulations for health situations. But money talks.
There you go. That's it.
Money talks.
That's
and money
right
talks loud.
That's it.
And money
That's it.
talks strong.
Right.
And so he and Ted are buddies. And America was at one point one of the largest funders of the World Health Organization. But President Donald Trump,
What did he do?
he was in tune to what the agenda was. And he ceased America for funding the World Health Organization, pulled us out of it, and was in the process of pulling us out of the UN because he saw the connection with China. He saw how in bed we were with China, and he did what was necessary to stop America from being affected in the manner that we are now being set up to be. See? Do your research. Do your research. Well, Donald Trump didn't do anything. When people say that to me, you are exposing your ignorance. Because I'll say it, if he was a racist, this racist man did more in 4 years than your black president did in 8.
Say that again. I'm telling you.
And
people don't want to hear
the Biden administration, which is a reenactment of the Obama administration, has done worse in less than 2 years.
Yes.
To our nation, to our country, than any other America. Well, I didn't tune in for this. Well, tune out and tune off.
Right.
Because I don't care.
Y'all better.
I'm crying aloud and sparing not. Because this is the problem. The church has taken the back seat and has traded in their warrior card, their guardian card, for a punk card, for a sissy card. Then all you want to do is talk about God is love.
Better wake up. Wake up.
Yeah, I'm looking at you and blinking. You can go to ctjohnson.org, and I want you to go there and download your copy, your PDF copy of the IHR, International Health Resolution of 2005, which is being amended they are gathering to amend it. And this is where we're heading. Shanghai, you heard, they are just now able, the man said, to walk around their compound. That means that you can exit your house and walk around your property. You can't even go into the city.
And if you do, there's consequences.
The law, there's a video that I saw that I was going to show where literally the authorities of that city kicked in this lady's door because she tested positive for COVID, but she wouldn't go for further examination, what have you, and they kicked in. That's where we're going with this one world dominance. If they snatch the sovereignty of America and the other nations away from us, the WHO, now we're not talking about the cat in the hat WHO. No, this is not fictitious. This is real. They're meeting Sunday. They will dictate, and we'll have our doors kicked in. We'll receive equivalent mandates where you can't leave your house. And they said no delivery. So for elderly people that already were dealing with health issues and couldn't leave the house anyway, they could not even have food or care or family members come see about them and check on them because you couldn't leave your house. There is no freedom of speech in China equivalent to here. The government controls all of social media. They have tracking devices all on your phone. I'm saying this and I got to go. As a military man, I was in a briefing several years ago as it pertains to Air Force's intel briefing us just a small snippet because they couldn't even tell us everything as it pertains to what goes on in China. How they track through your cell phone where you are, whether you're at the doctor's office, whether you're at work. That's where we are heading with these amendments. So go to my website, educate yourself, download it.
Yes.
Could visit those organizations that are on my website as well, so you can get further information as it pertains to what's happening in our world, even regarding the overturning of Roe versus Wade. We need to be praying for our chief justices, the conservative chief justices. If you don't know who they are, Clarence Thomas is one. Samuel Alito, all right, is the other. And you go on the website, go on the supremecourt.gov, and you can print out the list of justices. Neil Gorsuch. I believe that's how you pronounce it. These are the conservative judges that are fighting to overturn Roe versus Wade. So we need to pray for their families. We release the angels of God. We release the guardian angels, the warring angels to protect their families, to set up camps, to set up guard, to set up watch over these justices, over Samuel Alito, over Clarence Thomas, over Neil Gorsuch, over Brett Kavanaugh, over Amy Cornett Barrett. In the name of the Lord Jesus, we push back against the darkness. Glory to God. And we send division among the other justices, the liberal justices that are pushing abortion, that are pushing murder, that are pushing the killing of our babies. We push back. We speak delusion, strong delusion. We speak division. We speak confusion, that they will not be able to coincide, to get along, and we push forward. The agenda of the Lord Jesus Christ, and we seal these justices. We protect them. Do your homework. There were rallies, there were people out camping outside of their homes, threatening their families. This is serious, people. We got to stop just wanting to know. We got to grow up in the church. It's time for us to move beyond living our best life now. And let's start living according to
the alert,
Jesus Christ.
Well, dear hearts, it's time for us to take action. I need for you to adhere to the instructions that I gave you in the audio of this live stream that I did on Friday, May 20th. Go to my website, download for yourself the PDF, read through these amendments, and then also right there from my website, you can contact your state representatives. You can contact your governors. The email template is already established for you. The verbiage is there. You populate your information, and you can do this multiple times. You can do this every day. We need to bombard our political figures, letting them know that we as citizens of America, we are fighting for our country. We are fighting for us to remain in control of what happens to our country. We are fighting to remain in power, and we're not going to give our nation's sovereignty over to the World Health Organization and have them restrict us and literally turn us into a communist country where our freedoms no longer exist and we are controlled by the government. We're not going to have it in Jesus' name. All right. So let's do what we are responsible for doing. We're going to pray. We are praying. We're interceding. We're beating back the forces of darkness. But in conjunction with praying, faith without works is dead. We are also initiating appropriate corresponding actions so that we will remain a nation that's in power of its country. All right. Until next time, Prophet Johnson, I love you. Be empowered. Thanks for listening to a Biblical Perspective podcast. If today's episode empowered you, subscribe and rate the podcast at cpnshows.com, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen. For more information about CT Johnson Ministries International, visit the website at ctjohnson.org or text CTJM to 54244 to stay in the know. And connect with me on Instagram and Twitter at C. Terrell Johnson, on Facebook and YouTube at CT Johnson Ministries. Tune in next time as I continue to empower your thinking from God's perspective.